Don't let a DUI charge ruin your life. Get a professional and confidential evaluation from our experienced team at True Heights Treatment. Our evaluations are accepted by the majority of courts in the state of Illinois and provide a comprehensive assessment of your substance use patterns and potential treatment needs. Get the help you need today and start your path to a brighter future. Contact us now to schedule your evaluation at 708-248-7039 or at thtdui.com.
The George Brassey podcast is made possible with funding provided from Brassey Global Strategies, LLC, a leading political consulting, public policy, government affairs, and research firm. Are you interested in running for elected office? Need advice? Call or email George, 708-769-5015. Brassey Global Strategies 1 at gmail.com.
Hello, everyone. It's George. I'm so glad to welcome Trustee Sheldon Watts from the Village of Bolingbrook to the podcast. Trustee Watts, thanks for coming on.
Alderman Brassey, I truly appreciate this opportunity to connect with you, and I'm looking forward to having some discussion and dialogue.
Trustee Watts, can you tell the listeners a little bit about who you were before you became a trustee in the Village of Bolingbrook?
That's a good question. So actually, originally not too from an area not too far from where you are in the south side of Chicago, Morgan Park High School. After undergrad, I landed a job in the technology industry with a company by the name of Lucent Technologies at the time, and based out of Naperville. And so after many years of sort of commuting back and forth, decided to get a little closer to work and ultimately moved to Bolingbrook, Illinois. That's what took me out to Bolingbrook. And so been in that sort of tech background ever since. And sort of starting out more on the technical side of things and transitioning through business operations management roles, and then ultimately more in the data privacy and security compliance management type roles for a global technology company, and got involved in the community here in Bolingbrook and started out working with youth nonprofit type organizations, and then served on our village's zoning board of appeals commission, served on our township board, and then ultimately on the village board where I am today.
Trustee Watts, was your household growing up on the south side of Chicago? Did you come from a political family? Was there an interest in running for office from an early age?
So I would say not necessarily political, but definitely community service driven, right? My mom heavily involved in the church. I saw nothing but, her giving of herself. And interestingly enough, even today, as a retired person, mom is still giving back and serving her church and those around her. My dad, the same, more in sort of a mentorship capacity. Growing up, I saw young men coming to my dad for advice, and he would sit down with them and provide guidance to them. And I just, I witnessed that. But I always had an interest for, I guess, politics. And what really sparked it is when a gentleman by the name of Mayor Harold Washington became the mayor of Chicago. And I think witnessing sort of, the energy around his campaign and being the first, African-American mayor in the city of Chicago was really inspiring to me. And I remember, I don't know if I was 6th or 7th grade, and I told my mom, I said, Mom, I want to get involved, and I want to be like Mayor Washington one day. And she said, son, you can do anything you put your mind to. Just, work hard, get involved in the community. And my dad sort of broke it down on how you get involved with political organizations, and you just take one step and you work towards your goals. But I think that idea sort of went dormant, and I pursued my education and, my career. And it was just different aspects of my life that sort of brought that, from behind the scenes and more to the forefront. And I told myself, number one, I want to give back to my community. But number two, I want to be about good government. I saw some flaws, and I saw situations where people weren't responsive in their leadership roles. And I said, I want to be the opposite of that. I want to be responsive. I want to be someone that gets things done. And so that's what led me to sort of pursuing more of the public service capacity that I'm in today.
Trustee Watts, you mentioned that you were on the township board, and I'm looking it up online, and it looks like, does Bolingbrook belong to 4 townships?
No. So we have the DuPage Township that covers most, if not all, of Bolingbrook, a portion of Romeoville, is my understanding, and a slither of Naperville. So that is our sort of township boundaries, and it's DuPage Township.
What was that experience like for you as a township trustee? I
enjoyed it. There's a saying that township government is the level of government closest to the people. And I would say there's some truth in that, it handles the social services. So you are, working with people sometimes in their time of need, via the emergency assistance that's offered through the township. Senior services, which I really enjoyed, and I still have some great relationships with, a lot of our seniors in the community from my time in that role. We have a center called the Levy Center, where they have a lot of senior activities and just really fun stuff, and great opportunity to connect with our senior community, and a great place for them to come and mingle and do fun activities together, and stay occupied, and enjoying their sort of retirement years. It's really, really a great place. And then there's youth services also, which I'm really passionate about our youth. I started a youth organization called the Bolingbrook STEM Association, science, technology, engineering, and math programming for our youth. So really, really big on that. And the township offers, youth programming. So from that perspective, it was a really good experience for me.
Trustee Watts, can you talk a little bit about what the day-to-day work of a trustee in the Village of Bolingbrook is like for you?
Well, sometimes people are not familiar with the term trustee. And so I like to explain it as it being very similar to the role of an alderman or a city councilman. So basically, as a trustee board, we oversee the Village of Bolingbrook operations, which right at the top of the list of priorities would be, police and fire protection for our community. But, ensuring the roads are paved and the garbage is picked up. So we manage, and approve all of those contracts that support all of those activities, including and up to, purchasing vehicles for public works and for the police department and fire department, and managing any of our facilities, and all things operations related with regard the budget, approving the budget, and reviewing each line item, to ensure my goal obviously as a trustee would be to ensure that we're operating in a efficient and effective manner. And so I think my background, being in corporate and the business operation side of things, and all that, all the various experiences sort of, give me that ability to have a sharp eye for efficiency and making sure that we're operating in the best manner that we can on behalf of the residents of Bolingbrook.
Trustee Watts, can you talk a little bit about the political organization that has endorsed you and former guest of this podcast, Dr. Matt Gloviak, the Bolingbrook Independent Voices?
So the Bolingbrook Independent Voices was founded in 2021. Actually, I ran for mayor that year in Bolingbrook, came up a little short, but it was a tight race between 3 candidates. And we garnered a tremendous amount of support in that race. And, our goal is just to be more people focused. We saw a gap there, with balancing, obviously, the management of, large corporate and business partners in our community, and but we also want to focus more on supporting our small businesses as well. So things around being more people focused, forward thinking leaders is something we strive to do. Economic growth and sustainability is very important to us, making sure that we do our best to hold the line on our property taxes, and making sure we're scrutinizing things to ensure we're doing filling retail spaces, bringing the options and hotel options and amenities to our community is key. But right at the top of the list is public safety. We're huge advocates around ensuring that our community continues to be a safe place to live. By and large, it is. Very proud to raise my children here in Bolingbrook, an amazing community, and we just want to make sure it stays that way. And so working closely with our police department to ensure that we're doing everything we can with regard to relationships between the public and PD are collaborative in nature, and that we're doing the necessary things to keep our community safe. And then there's the mental health piece. You mentioned Dr. Matthew Gloviak, who is my running mate in this upcoming election, which is April 4th. Early voting has already begun on March 20th and runs up until April 3rd. Matt brings a wealth of knowledge and experience in the mental health space. And mental health is the awareness and the capacity to ensure our residents have the resources available to them is close to my heart. My mom, has many years as a psychologist and actually retired with the Chicago Department of Mental Health. So I watched her on the front lines in some of our toughest communities in the city of Chicago, Inglewood Mental Health Center, back of the yard. She retired out of the Beverly Mental Health Center, but just witnessed her on the front lines, doing all she could to ensure residents had access and, the services that they need to support mental health. And that's what we want to do here in Bolingbrook, working closely with our county, who has an amazing array and variety of, mental health services, some even low cost and some even at no cost. And so we're working hard to bring that visibility through our wellness plan to the village of Bolingbrook, because it's one thing to have these resources, but it's a totally different thing to ensure that people are aware that these resources are available to them.
Trustee Watts, you mentioned that you fell short on your run for mayor. Can you talk a little bit about what that campaign taught you, what that informed you of?
Well, one thing that I gained an appreciation for is the process, right? The process of running for office for a position like mayor. Number one, you're out here having dialogue with residents every day. You're building those, are first off listening, and it's so important to listen and understand before you try to make your points to be understood. So that was something that I garnered a great appreciation for. But being able to put the key factors, the key issues on the table, and while we did come up a bit short, a lot of the things that we were pushing for became reality, right? Because there was a tremendous amount of support for certain things, getting accomplished, such as an optional garbage total program, or garbage cans, as many people know them as. Forever, we had the historical, bag approach where you put the bags on the curb, and there was a host of residents that didn't want that anymore. They wanted garbage cans or garbage toters. But then there was a segment of our community that didn't want them. Maybe they didn't have space for them, or maybe they were seniors and didn't want to have to, push that big can out every week. And so we ran on a platform of an optional total program. And while that may seem, garbage cans, may seem like a minute issue, it was a big deal here in our community. And we pushed and pushed, and ultimately a a community panel was put together, and the end result was this optional program that we devised and that we ran on. So that's just a small example, but really garnered appreciation for the process, and really wanted to give our community an option, right? And I felt obviously that I brought a wealth of experience from local government perspective, from a corporate, business management perspective, from a tech sort of forward thinking, and ensuring that our city is a smart city one day, and that we are as technologically advanced as we possibly can, and just bottom line, ensuring that we are as effective and as efficient as possible in managing village government, but again, with the number one priority of ensuring our residents are safe. So public safety, mental health awareness being right there at the top of the list.
Trustee Watts, what are 2 books that have been important to you as a person that you'd recommend to the audience?
Over the years, I think a couple of books I'll mention, one being The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. Really his focus around, number one, being proactive in your approach, having goals, and, ensuring that your day-to-day activities sort of focus on the end goal. So everything you do is helping you achieve that end goal. So, putting first things first, and prioritizing, and in the negotiation process, understanding that, you want a win-win situation. The other person doesn't necessarily have to lose. And then that piece that I mentioned, earlier is, around ensuring that you listen to others, and, you seek first to understand before you try to be understood. So those are some of the things that, I took as, valuable information out of that book. And then there's another book called The Servant as Leader, and that's by Robert K. Greenleaf. It's a short book, and for me, I'm all about service. I think that's what drives me, as I mentioned, sort of watching my parents be, community servants in their way. I believe plays a big role in why I do what I do, more so than the political side of it, the community service piece of it. And so that's what I really appreciated about, this book, and how, you want to be a servant first, and a leader second. And the leadership part will come naturally because you're willing to roll up your sleeves and be a servant. And you want to be creative about your problem solving. And I mentioned to you with the, Bolingbrook Independent Voices, our premise is about being creative and doing things differently, and being an independent voice that focuses on the needs of the residents, right? Not necessarily the needs of those in your inner circle, in your inner bubble, as I like to call it, but the needs of the actual residents, and creating a mechanism for that communication. And then that book also talks about taking the time to, rest and restore, because, emergencies will pop up. And when they do, you want to have sort of that reserve energy that kicks in and gives you that strength and ability to serve in the capacity that you need to. So, the whole idea of listening more, and it's okay to be silent sometime and just hear from others, as part of your leadership, is something that connected with me.
Trustee Watts, tell the audience when the election is and how they could find you on the internet if they wanted to learn more about you.
So BolingbrookIndependentVoices.com. BolingbrookIndependentVoices.com is where you can find our information about our candidacy, myself and Dr. Matthew Gloviak, details about us, our bio, details about our platform and priorities for the Village of Bolingbrook. Early voting started Monday, and it runs until April 3rd at the Fountaindale Library. So important that people come out. Early voting makes it really, really easy. So we're really pushing for that. And then the big day, April 4th, Tuesday, is election day. And on that day, you would vote at your normal voting polling place.
Trustee Sheldon Watts, thank you so much for coming on my podcast.
Alderman, it's been a true honor. I'm glad we were able to coordinate our schedules to make this happen. Keep doing the great work that you're doing. And thank you for this opportunity.
All right. Take care, Trustee.
Take care now.
Help George stay on the Chicago Heights City Council. Go and donate today at tinyurl.com/AldermanGeorge 2023.
Begin to transform your life and work towards inner peace with expert psychotherapy. At True Heights Treatment, our experienced therapists provide personalized, compassionate care to help you overcome life's challenges and reach your goals. Whether you're struggling with depression, anxiety, relationship issues, or other mental health concerns, our team is here to support you. With a warm and welcoming in-person and virtual office atmosphere and a commitment to person-centered and evidence-based treatments, we are dedicated to helping you address your life's challenges. Contact us now to schedule your first session at 708-248-7039 or online at trueheightstx.com. Book your appointment today and start your journey towards a happier, healthier life.
Need more George? Like his pages on Facebook. Friends of George Brassey PAC, Fifth Ward Business Alliance, Chicago Heights Bicycle and Pedestrian Resource Center, and the George Brassey Podcast.